I'm author Mark Muncy,
And I'm author Erika Lance.
and this is Eerie Travels. Greetings, travelers.
Greetings.
Oh my gosh, this is wow! What a time to be alive, right?
Yeah.
we have had some crazy stuff.
We've had so much crazy stuff between everything, and yes, but I
staying
guess
in
we
a
should
haunted
start.
Airbnb and all
Yeah.
this other fun. So
We should reach out and just thank all of our travelers who are on this journey with us so far.
yes, and for all of you who met us at our recent appearances, oh my gosh, that was so nice of you to come up and say thanks that you're enjoying the show. And for all our new subscribers who subscribed at the shows, that was fantastic. Doing the panels are always fun and always nice when things get to go where we need to go and stuff like that. So very happy.
Yes, thank you. And please, if you check out, I believe the Erie Travel site will have a list of our events that are coming up, right? Are we doing
yes,
that?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Oh.
There's a page there that says events.
Yes.
And I think it had a placeholder there, but it should be up now. So
okay, perfect. You can find us if you want to stalk us in person. Come get a picture with me and Mark. Neither one of us are very photogenic, but please come get a picture. Anyway, okay. So today's episode. Well, first we have some news.
What?
Before we get into today's episode, I don't know if you saw this yet, but there was a Bigfoot sighting.
Oh.
And this gentleman apparently, let me just pull this up here, photographed a Bigfoot. So this
whereabouts?
It's actually Coast to Coast AM, one of your favorites.
I've been on that a few times, yes.
And it said Bigfoot photographed by paranormal investigator in New Jersey.
Oh, Jersey, yes.
Yes. So
not a common location that people think of, but it actually does have lots of Bigfoot sightings.
Yeah, which is interesting. So what he said was this photograph was taken in New Jersey, and he thinks it's Bigfoot watching him from a distance, right? He was 300 to 400 feet away, so he zoomed in on it, and he's walking along these railroad tracks. So it's not super close, but there definitely is something there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he apparently then he said the creature started walking towards him, came quote unquote right towards me. And so in a possibly threatening manner, I'm not sure how you could tell this. And so they think it's either a Sasquatch or a dog man. I haven't heard of it. What is a dog man?
Now, Dogman is something we are going to discuss. Some people can conflate it with a Rougarou. Every person who's described one to me will say these exact same words. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but it looked like a freaking werewolf. And they don't say F freaking, they say the other F word.
Oh, so, you mean fucking? We're allowed to say that on here. I'll say.
Oh, we are? Okay. I saw like PG-13. I thought we were only limited to like
we have explicit ratings sometimes.
All right.
This one does.
That's good. Good. So, all right.
Anyway, so we'll include the link in the show notes. You guys can take a look at the video.
Yeah.
Tell us for yourself what you think this is or anything. But it definitely, it comes out of the woods. It definitely looks like a Sasquatch.
And I will say, I get a lot of people emailing me their sightings, emailing me the things they've seen and all that. And a lot of that comes from A, truck drivers, B, train conductors and people who work on the train system. So those not exactly unheard of, seeing stuff along train tracks. So so right along the train tracks, he's walking. Of course, if you're going to go walking, be careful. And if you're going up to this area of New Jersey, no one should go Sasquatch hunting. That's not a good idea. No. If anything, they should be a protected species. I know they've tried to pass that a few times in several states, but everybody's afraid to put the law on the books, because then they admit that it exists. And it's like, No, just if these things don't exist, they're obviously endangered because they're not everywhere. So
Exactly. So we'd love to hear. Please throw in the show notes. Not the show notes. I can use my actual words. Throw comments and things like that, and let us know what you guys think this is, because we would love to hear your thoughts. But we're not talking about Bigfoot today. Oh
no.
What are we talking about today, Mark?
We are talking about one of my favorite cryptids of all time, because they just had their first festival at the end of March 2023. They had the first ever Loveland Frogman Festival.
Ooh.
And I wanted to be there so badly, but things, the world, prevented me from joining them this year. But I do intend to be there next year because it looked amazing. And
we'll include the link in the show notes so that
yes,
if you guys want to go to the Frogman Festival next year, you know how to find it.
Yes, definitely. It is an incredible. Wow. I can't believe that they finally pulled it off. It's, we are participating in the Mothman Festival this year, so we are allowed to announce that now, and which is a huge festival for cryptid lovers. I hope this one grows just as big. It started strong, so can't go wrong with that. But what is the Loveland Frogmen, you ask, right?
I was going to ask that because I personally have never heard of the Loveland Frogman.
Okay. So, well, it's actually frogmen.
Men.
There are multiple.
There are multiple. Got it. All
right. So let's, to describe Loveland a little bit, it's north of Cincinnati. It's right along the Little Miami River, which was one of the 3 rivers that flows into Cincinnati. And it's this kind of community, and it's actually like right in between 3 counties. So It's just, Loveland is its own unique little area. And so the story goes, because you always got to have the story goes, right?
Yes.
This one's hard to pin down the initial sighting.
Okay.
But sometime in 1955, early summer, everybody agrees it was in May.
Okay.
So, and that there are a few different versions of this, but the main version is there's this unnamed businessman, and he saw this creature on the side of the road that, as he's driving along through Loveland, right along the river, his headlights hit it, and it is about 3 or 4 feet tall and covered in a leathery skin. That's he says it an erect bipedal creature with the head of a frog and webbed hands and feet, deep wrinkles on the skin, and of course, as the story is told, the details get more and more detailed, but I'm sure when he originally saw it, he just said, "This is a freaking frog standing on the side of the road." And it appeared to be hairless. And and then,
was it hitchhiking?
No, but what it is he pulls over somewhere near Branch Hill, which is the road near there, and it's not a well lit area. I've been there many times. It is a very dark area, so none of these roads are well lit to this day, and there are lots of little bridges that crisscross the river there. So so some of the stories say it takes place on a bridge. Some of the stories say it takes place on this bend in the road.
Okay.
But anyway, as he gets closer, he parks and he's like trying to watch it, and he starts getting closer. It goes over the guardrail, and then it sees 2 other ones standing there, and he starts getting close to them, and they are agitatedly talking to each other, having some sort of conversation, apparently not going well for them. Something's wrong.
So he didn't follow the Bigfoot guy we discussed earlier that left with the agitation.
Right.
He kept going
He's
forward.
like, I want to see what's going on. All right, now here's where you're going to love it. He makes a noise.
Oh, no.
And guess what happens with the frog? It turns. It looks at him. And it pulls a wand.
Wait. Hold on. Hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. Okay. Can you repeat that, Mark? I'm sorry, because
It
I was too
pulls.
busy laughing.
Yes, it pulls a long cylindrical metal object, as one might say, a wand, a magic wand.
Well, a long cylindrical metal
somewhere.
object could also be other nefarious things, but we'll go with wand.
Wand.
That's
And it
fine.
emits,
It's the 50s.
it emits flashes, sparks, or some sort of pulse of light from the end of it. And
Okay.
that's when he's like, holy crap, I'm out of here. I don't want to get shot by lightning. And he runs. And,
Okay.
and that's the last we see. The other two frogs jump in the water as he is turning and running.
So he was fine with multiple frogmen, but the magic part of this was it.
It pulls a wand. That's it. I'm done. I'm out of there. So that's a good rule of thumb. If your cryptid that you're chasing pulls a wand or other metallic device that could be a gun, run.
If anything does that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even just a cryptid. Let's just have a rule of thumb that if anybody pulls a metal object out of an orifice or anything, maybe just go. It's not a good idea.
So it's reptilian, it's naked, it's hairless. It's this the very weird river system through there. It's the cryptid's kind of primitive in its actions. So some people say that he saw gray aliens because it's very similar description. But that doesn't say frog, but it could. I mean, we're Mass Effect fans.
Yeah,
Morden could be a Loveland Frogman, maybe. Morden Solus.
Well, he didn't have a magic wand though, Mark.
He had his little medical instruments that could be confused for magic wands. So.
Okay, fine. If we're gonna draw that little strip,
yeah. I had to bring it in there because that's honestly one of the inspirations for the Solarians. They said was the Loveland Frogmen. So,
wow, okay.
Frogman Legends, so from Mass Effect series. For those non-nerds out there, the greatest video game science fiction trilogy you should be playing.
Yes, no, it's we're epic nerds. So
yep. So that was 1955, and it's told for a generation, right? That story is told over and over again, never seen again, except it was.
Oh,
and this one we have documentation. So the next encounter is March 3rd, 1972. Again, spring-ish, early summer. At 1 a.m., a police officer named Ray Shockey is driving on Riverside Drive heading into Loveland. And as there's been inclement weather, he's driving slowly. Basically, he says icy roads.
Okay.
And he saw an animal on the side of the road. And the creature scurries across the road and he slams on his brakes to keep from hitting it.
Okay.
And once stopped, he has it fully illuminated with the headlights, right? This is 1970, so they didn't have the fancy, swingy light yet.
Got it.
And he went on to describe the creature as crouching like a frog. And it went on to stand erect on 2 feet staring directly at him. And after a minute, it turns and climbs over the guardrail and heads down towards the Little Miami River. Again, 3 to 4 feet tall, around 50 to 75 pounds, leathery skin resembling a frog or a giant lizard.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, that is his report. After his report, other officers go out there to check the area, and they find that the guardrail has distinct abrasions.
Are they frog abrasions?
Exactly where the creature crawled over the metal. So just claw type abrasions.
Okay.
So that is your police report of this creature.
Okay.
Now,
is there only one in this circumstance?
Okay. There's only one in this circumstance.
Okay.
And when you're looking at this incident for research purposes, the basic description has not changed from this creature, right?
Okay.
It sends the riverbank into the it says into the Ohio River, but that is actually the Little Miami River. So I can assume somebody not familiar with the Loveland area, confused the two rivers. The other thing being that icy road conditions that he was driving slowly on are not mentioned anywhere else in any other reports that day from that area. So that's just the other oddball thing about this report. So for the skeptic in me, I have to, it wasn't 30 degrees or under in that area. So, but icy roads can happen with some winds and stuff like that. So there had been some rain. So it's a little interesting.
Okay.
But and a reptile would not be out in such weather. So
no, they would not.
All right, because this is where it gets weird. All right. It gave us a precise location this time.
Okay.
So we actually have Riverside Drive. We know Little Miami River. There's actually an area called right there. The East Kemper Road is right there. So we actually have a crossroads where this has been.
Okay.
And you can't really, the guardrail is there still. You can go to that exact spot and see what happened. Now, he recants his story a couple weeks later because another police officer, this one comes in and he says that, I saw the creature myself. I was driving that same road 2 weeks later, and I saw the strange creature, so I shot it with a shotgun and killed it, and it's in the trunk of my car.
So how long ago did he shoot it?
He shot it 2 weeks after the last one, so this is 1973.
But when in relation to when he shot it, is he having this conversation?
No, he's saying that day he takes it to the police station to show his friend, the other cop, what you actually saw. So 1972.
Okay.
So this is end of March. He is, because now it's been a sideshow in town. People are hunting the monster, all this stuff. Newspapers are flocking to town because the Frogman has returned from the 1950s, and a cop saw it, so it's got to be real. And then the other cop says, I shot it. I killed it. It's done. And we will come back from our break and I will tell you what he killed.
Okay. Well, we'll be right back, travelers.
Greetings, travelers. Once again, I come to you with an offer. A good offer this time. Paranormality Magazine, the news for those of us who like a little weird, a little outside. I think I'm speaking to my audience here. But anyway, they've reached out to us with a special offer for our listeners. If you go to paranormalitymag.com, you can get 10% off your subscription. You can get 10% off any digital issue. You can get 10% off all the awesome merch by just using the code TRAVELS when you check out. Where else are you going to find this wonderful articles and stuff like we have found for you? And man, the amazing blogs, the amazing magazine, it's so worth your time and effort. So please, paranormalitymag.com, and then use the code TRAVELS. We'll see you on the other side.
Greetings, mortals and others. I'm Dick Terhune, the voice from hell. I work with haunted attractions all over the US, Canada, and Europe to increase audiences and enhance their experience with highly effective commercials, narrations, animatronic character voices, whatever your dark heart desires. Let me help you do more, scare more, profit more. Find out more at Voice from Hell on Facebook and at voicefromhell.com.
And we're back.
We're back. And I got it in my trunk. I feel like that's becoming a theme with a lot of our stories. I got it in my trunk. Because what didn't they say that with the didn't we have that with the fake monster head one?
Yeah, the monster head at one point was
Yeah.
So the Salt Fork Road monster. Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, he brings his friend out to open the trunk.
Okay.
And in it is a dead giant tailless iguana that he has shot in Loveland, Ohio in March of 1970s.
Okay.
Says it obviously was some pet that had escaped, and easy to confuse a 3-foot long iguana for a giant frogman.
No.
Yeah.
Well, how big are men then? Because it's the 50s. They shouldn't be 3 feet tall.
No.
Was this a tiny man?
This is I don't know. And this is the guy who said, he has since said 100% he shot this thing and killed it. But when asked about the body, we threw it away. So like immediately after we identified it. And so we both, his friend who had seen it originally, Officer Shockey, he says, yes, this is what I saw. I must have been mistaken. It was a tailless iguana. So you can all stop. And it's, and to this day, that second officer, I have met him a few times, and he lives in Florida now.
Okay.
And he still says it was a hoax. It was all a hoax. Bigfoot's a hoax. This is a hoax. The Ohio Grassman's a hoax. The Minerva Monster's a hoax. Loveland Frogmen's a hoax. I killed it. It was an iguana. But what about the stories before? What about some scenes?
Have there been any stories since then about the frogmen?
Not as many. There have been a couple. There was one lady who goes also back to the 50s. That her story came out later, and her name was Mrs. Darwin Johnson. And this was in August of 1955. Okay. And she said she was attacked by some sort of creature while swimming in the Ohio River near Evansville, Indiana. So not near Loveland. But she saw it and said it was a large creature that attacked her feet and latched onto her knee. And she was in 15 feet of water, dragged underneath. And after kicking free, she swam to shore with a friend, Mrs. Lamble, and they both bore contusions on their legs and a palm print that stained her skin for days that was green. And it looked like a frog print. Now, the only relation to the Loveland Frogmen is that river, the Little Miami, does go into the Ohio River. Evansville's about 200 miles away, but the normal fish that travel that area are seen all over those two rivers. So if it's something that could swim that area, it could happen. But there's also giant catfish and very large snapping turtles that are plentiful in those areas. So that could have easily been those. But so I don't know if it's 100% Loveland Frogman. And then now the other thing is later, 2016, a phenomena known as Pokemon Go.
So we should explain what Pokemon Go is for anybody who may live under a rock because they either played the game or were offended by people playing the game. I feel there are two categories.
So 2016, Pokemon Go comes out for cell phones. It's the first Pokemon game for your mobile apps, for mobile phones.
And Pokemon are little sort of animal
pocket
creatures.
Monsters.
Pocket monsters, yes. And so the game on your phone is you went around to catch said pocket monsters, right?
Yeah, instead of like on the Game Boy where you're playing a virtual character running around, this one you actually went to the places, held your phone up and tried to catch them by throwing Pokeballs at them.
Ironically enough, it was one of the healthiest times for teenagers and people everywhere because you had to walk. That's part of the game. It requires you to walk around. Yeah, you couldn't,
early days, they even, they had some car accidents because people were driving while playing. So they made it so you couldn't drive and play.
Yeah.
It was a magical time to kind of be alive because you were, I remember driving my kids around and my and my wife, and they would go around catching Pokemon together as I was the driver, because I had a Windows phone. I couldn't play it. So
Yeah, no, I did this a lot with the other half. We drove around. I'm not gonna maybe tell the story of the fact that where we found most of the Pokemon, because they had these little like, what do they call them? Where they're Pokestops.
yeah,
So there are places you can go and things like that, which is what's I know you're gonna lead into.
Yeah.
Pokestops and Poke Gyms, and I'm sorry we're boring truckers on the road going,
And-
shut up and get on with it.
yeah.
But most of the places we ended up going were actually graveyards, because
They're
graveyards would have
historical
it from,
sites and things like that, because the company that made it had a game prior to it where was involving making portals and to other worlds and stuff, and so they used the same map information for that game, so it was always weird places with unique murals or crazy things. But one of the places was Loveland Castle, which is a unique place in Ohio history. A man built it, and I think you're going to go into that for our Erie travel, but I'm just going to hint on it a little bit here. It's a Pokestop, and or a gym. It's a gym, and so some kids were out there playing in that area, trying to catch some Pokemon, and they saw what they described as the Frogman, who went and jumped into the river near the castle. Now, that was pretty much proven to be a hoax. It was a guy in a frog suit taking advantage of Pokemon Go players doing it. So that one kind of is debunked. We don't know who it was, but we're pretty sure it was a guy in a suit.
well, and I think it's kind of like our friends with the Bigfoot shoes, which we still have to look into.
Yep.
Because we need Bigfoot shoes.
Yes.
Because I feel when we're exploring all these cryptids in weird places and even haunted places, I think Bigfoot should be there with us the whole time. But it is interesting because you do hear more and more about people doing stuff, and with special effects makeup and the ability to cosplay, unlike the 1950s where it wasn't necessarily as easy to create a frogman suit that's realistic.
Yeah.
Now you could. But it kind of begs you to wonder, is it something left over, or was it something left over from prehistoric times, or was that original businessman on acid?
Well, what's interesting is that area does have native lore about this, and this is what a lot of people, when they look into Loveland Frogman, they just look at the 1950 encounter, they look at the 1970 encounter, they don't go any further than from that. The 1970s encounters, they sometimes look at that Pokemon Go encounter, but it's vital to know that area, some of the natives in that area talked of a creature called I got to pronounce this properly, otherwise I will get in serious trouble. So it is the Shanahook. So if those who want to know how to spell that, it's SHAWNAHOOC. Shanahook is how it was pronounced to me, which translates as river demon. And this creature is specifically described as being a large reptile that can walk on two legs. And it specifically lives along the banks of the Little Miami River. Wow. And it is said this creature threatened the indigenous tribes until they sent their greatest warriors to confront it and chase it. And after the battle, it went into hiding. Now, the natives were driven from the territory by the encroaching settlers, and that is when the Shanahook decided to come back. And now that is pretty much the Shawnee and the Twi-Twi tribes are the two tribes that mention this creature from this area.
Which ties into our ongoing theme that we've kind of talked about, like with the Kelpie and stuff like that. Are some of these creatures like nature spirits?
Yeah.
That are there protecting the land, or whatever form of what they're doing. It's kind of like, since we don't know what they are, they're obviously not like badgers where you see them everywhere. They're and there's little holes and little small tunnels and small caves in that area. Again, it's part of underneath, it's the Mammoth Cave system.
And we talked about the Crosswick serpent in the past, where it's a very similar lizard-like creature that plagued a town. And that's not too far. That's a couple 100 miles from there. It's, this is a crazy story. And I love the town embraces it now. They've got the festival now. And they also have a 5K there called the Frogman 5K. So, if you like your racing, and there's just there's a canoe company there that does Loveland Frogmen canoe trips, and they take you along the banks and describe it all. Now the last story I got is from a paranormal team.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me a little bit about the castle first, and then we'll go into this last story. So
absolutely.
It's definitely our travel for today.
The travel for today involves the wonderful Loveland Castle. And believe it or not, the Loveland Castle, for those of you who are paying attention to this episode, you will realize, based on what Mark said, it is actually in Ohio. So it is a place you can visit, but the history of it is there was a gentleman by the name of Harry Delos Andrews. He was born in 1890. So he actually ended up being in the army in World War I, but he went in as a medic because he didn't agree with killing at a distance. He agreed with sword-to-sword combat, chivalry, and all of this stuff. It plays into how this happened. But in World War I, he contracted spinal meningitis and actually was declared dead in 1918.
Wow.
But about 6 months later, he was undead. So he may be a zombie.
He got better.
I got better.
Yeah.
So, but his fiance had left him, married another man. And he stayed in Europe while, being undead, and he visited castles, right? He says that he had more than 50 marriage proposals, but turned them all down.
Of course.
So Harry was
Same.
quite a thing. But he was in the army. He was a medic, right? So he ended up going to a castle and being healed in a castle, right? During this time of recovering from his spinal meningitis.
They were all converted to hospitals for a time, yes.
Yeah, well, I think people underestimate the quantity of castles and historic buildings that exist where the history comes from over there. As now Susie Ediazard would tell you.
Oh,
yes. She is going by Susie now. She made that announcement today.
Yes, congratulations, Susie.
Yes, congratulations. And also, apparently, Harry had a very high IQ. It was 189.
Yeah, like huge for the day. Yes,
huge.
Still.
So what he did, and this actually involves the Boy Scouts, is he actually brick by brick built the historic Loveland Castle, which was modeled after the museum of, I think, Chateau Le Roc. It's the castle. Yeah. I don't know if I said that correctly, so please forgive me. Yeah. But it's basically a reminder, and he trained Boy Scouts in chivalry and stuff like that. So there's a whole Knights of the Golden Trail that was put together there. So it is amazing. We're going to put in the show notes some pictures and stuff. This place is absolutely beautiful. And if you look at what he actually did, and I say brick by brick, but really it's kind of stone by stone, created the most absolutely beautiful castle that is
in the middle of Ohio.
Yes, in the middle of Ohio, like you do. And we'll have to cover this more in future episodes, but there are actually castles that have been created all over this country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few, and many Midwest, some down here in Florida.
Yeah.
And they're all made by these mad geniuses who just love castles and have to build them. So exactly.
But there's more.
Oh, yes, because this is the part I know. So continue.
So there is so he basically created this castle. It is a replica of a castle, right? And again, he put it along the bank of the Little Miami River, right? So it took over 50 years to complete this castle, right?
Yeah, he sadly died before it opened.
Yes, he did. And he created the road to the castle and all of this stuff, right? Very, very fancy. But there are ghosts. I think that by nature, if you build a castle, there are ghosts, right?
Especially when you import artifacts from Europe to fill your said castle. So
yes. So yes. So he did that, but there are three apparent entities that are documented, and you can check into this. I think paranormal investigators. One of them is a female entity that is thought to be the wife of a moonshiner. So before the street light was put in front, a female entity with long hair would walk across the river, sit in the seats located near the garage. And she's apparently transparent, whitish apparition dressed in a flowing gown and be seen walking up the roads near the garden area and just disappearing.
Would that fit our lady in white? A lady in white with long dark hair with water? That
yes.
fits our three criteria.
Another lady in white, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, eventually they might all come haunt me. There might be multiple. So, okay.
Trying to tell you something.
Yes. We're going to be stalked by the Hat Man and the men, women in white. Okay. The next one is actually a Viking entity, right? And they think this entity may be attached to some of the swords and some of the memorabilia that you were talking about, the historic things that were brought to this castle, right? And so it's seen in the north round part of the castle, dressed in a long, dark cloak, wearing a spiked helmet and carrying a short, wide sword across his chest. And he likes to ring doorbells and knock on doors.
Yes. Now, what's fun about him is one of the paranormal teams that I talked to, everybody calls him the Viking because he's got a spiked helmet. It's not a horned helmet because Vikings really didn't do that. But it is a spiked helmet, which the Vikings did use, which is why I was very happy when I heard these descriptions. I was like, oh, yeah, see, that's historically accurate. So it's...
and we do like it when it's historically accurate.
Yeah, because some it's a Viking ghost. He's got a horned helmet. Okay, that's not a Viking ghost. Yeah.
So the last and final ghost, supposedly that's documented, and I'm not going to say that's the only ghost there.
Right.
Discover for yourself. Right. Go there. Obviously, if you want to go do any sort of paranormal investigation anywhere other than just visiting a place, like paying admission and going
always call ahead.
Yes, please reach out to the proprietors. Be mindful and also be respectful of whatever entities, spirits, whatever happens to be there, because they were there first and you were not. So, be nice to them when you go. But the final entity is suspected to be our friend Harry himself.
Yes.
So he apparently, there's a dark shadow that seemed to be moving up their spiral staircase to his old room. He also apparently likes to slam the bathroom door in the ballroom. So
there have been several weddings there that have reported strange things happening. So
I don't know why the bathroom, but and it was interesting is apparently when he's done this, the septic tank was about to overflow. So it's almost like he's still caring for these grounds and notifying people when something's wrong, which is awesome, Harry. I just got tingles. And when they have parties, instruments, blah, 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 that sort of thing, apparently like the lamps and things like that start swaying with the music.
Yep.
And then when the music stops, the lamp suddenly stops. So apparently he likes a good party. Our friend Harry likes to take care of his castle, his house still, and has a good party. So
one of the cool things about it was, good old Mr. Andrews there, Harry, he started construction in 1929, but he didn't go crazy with construction. Where he really started in earnest was 1955, the year of the Frogmen. And now he was it's a coincidence, but it's an interesting coincidence. But he supposedly, was, he's Mr. Mason. Of course he's a Mason. But he also had with that genius IQ, he was a huge fan of the local flora and fauna. That's why he built the gardens there and all that to help with the Boy Scouts. So do you think maybe, he knows a little something that prowls the banks of the Little Miami River, and maybe that's why he built the castle there, and he knows about the tunnels and some other things around there. So,
yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible, but the other thing too is maybe he didn't realize he aggravated it.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's possible too. Yeah, he may have been the reason it stirred it all up.
Yeah. So. I mean, either way, I think it's amazing. I think his accomplishment is amazing. Just absolutely. Right. And it's something, what's fun is if you go up there are people that will tell you ghost stories. You can go picnic there. There's a ton of activities. We've included a link here, but you can go check it out for yourself and see if there was any frogmen,
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's one of those, I had a paranormal team that told me this is actually in my book, Erie Appalachia, when I wrote about the Loveland Frogmen. Right before I wrote this, and I was talking about places I was going, a paranormal team reached out to me, and I actually reached out to them and said, hey, I want to know stories about the castle. And they were like, oh, we're going on a hunt there again, but not for ghosts. And I'm like, oh, really? And they were like, well, we went out there a couple months ago looking for ghosts. And while we were there, we saw a strange creature jump into the water, a very large creature jump into the water. Now it was dark. They couldn't get the light on it in time to see if it was leathery skinned or frog headed, but they did see the yellow eye shine as their light did hit as it ducked under the water. And they did say it was very alligator-like or reptilian. So now they are convinced that the Frogman is still out there and are searching for him, as well as while they do their ghostly hunts at the castle. So they always try to go early and stay at the campgrounds there so that they can look for the Frogman as well. So
very cool. And we do have to play a little bit. So please feel free to go visit, travelers. It's a great place to go visit. You could go and do all of this together during next year's Frogman. It looks like they do them in March. So keep an eye out. We put the links out, to sign up for it when they announce the next one. And who knows, maybe you might be able to meet the Erie Travels team next year at the Frogman Festival.
Yeah, we are definitely going to try to be there. Now there was one of our wonderful sponsors, Paranormality Magazine, that you can go to paranormalitymag.com. And if they have an article on the Loveland Frogman from one of their earlier issues, and they have all their back issues available. And if you want to help the show, feel free to pick up that issue and use the code word travels in your checkout box, and you'll get a small discount and help us, let them know that you're interested in this sort of thing. So, and it keeps us from being sponsored by some mobile game that that you really don't want to hear us doing.
It will come into your backyard. So that's our new threat. Sponsor us, and we'll be sponsored by a mobile game that will cause people to go into your backyard.
Yes, yes.
There's one other shout out we have to do, which is to our producer Callie, who's not going to jump in because sort of behind the scenes right now, but they have an immense frog collection that actually went viral. So we'll have to do some pictures in the show notes, but these are not frogmen. They are adorable little frogs, but
Callie is the I want to say the apex predator of squishmallow frog hunting, and has so many squishmallow frogs. If you ever want to get into our wonderful producer's heart, send them squishmallow frogs. They cannot have enough. They're building their army for global conquest, and that went super viral, and we couldn't be prouder of our little producer there. So Squishmallow, if you're looking to sponsor us,
yes, Squishmallow frogs, if you'd like to sponsor, Callie would be interested. But we will throw that picture up in our show notes, a link to it, so you guys can check that out. And I think with that, Mark, we are ribbiting out of here. I
Oh
couldn't
yeah,
get that
yeah.
to work.
Let's get back to work, and let's we hey, and remember, Claudius the Wonder Lizard over here should not be shot with a shotgun if you see him climbing a guardrail, please.
Exactly.
He is a Savannah monitor and not easily confused with a frog, and he would be very upset if you confused him with a frog. And our frozen iguanas in Florida, not very thick up in that area. And to be fair, the policeman who said it was all a hoax, he still says it's a hoax. So we've got to, we give him, he said it was an iguana, but when you ask him about the body, we threw it away. So, take that with what you will. So on that note, travelers, we'll see you on the other side.